So today's webinar is a little play on words. So it's called Discover Before You React, Work Better with People Who Work Differently Than You. So we know when we get to our workplace or when we arrive to our virtual workplace or work with our virtual team, we work with many different people who have different personalities, different backgrounds in the way they learn to communicate, right? Different ways that they might have learned to address conflict, right? We all arrive to work with our different way that we see the world, right? And our different values. And that impacts how we communicate, how we collaborate, how we think, and how we might go about doing our jobs. And so that impacts our experience of each other. And then we have to learn how to interact each day with those people. And so we are going to be focusing primarily on Discover today. So just a little heads up about that, if you didn't pick that up in the title of the webinar when you registered. So this is going to be a working session. So this is, if you're a tactical learner or a kinesthetic learner and you learn by doing, this is going to be really good for you. But so you want to sign into Cloverleaf. You're going to want to sign in to Cloverleaf. So just you want to go ahead and do that. You should probably do that. We are going to work together today, and you are going to actually test out some things and Discover with us today with actual people, possibly on your team or in your organization, that you may be able to get value from. So we'll do some polls like we always do. We like to know who's on the call with us in terms of their role. So I'll set the context with some common scenarios which might cause friction on a work team. Some things that you might experience, maybe you've experienced it recently. And I'm going to find out what are some of those scenarios that you might have experienced recently. Then what happens when we don't understand how others work? What is that experience like? And then that's when we're going to go into using Discover right on the court. So we're going to get right into using Discover. And I think I have to log into Cloverleaf to do that. So you're going to play along with me. And we're going to practice 3 different types of prompts. And I'm going to give you some sample prompts, but I'm also going to give you the opportunity. You can create prompts as well. So if you have been creating prompts, or if you want to try your hands at creating some prompts, you can do that. I've created some for you in advance. So no matter what your role is, right? This is a role agnostic webinar. So no matter what your role is, you've all had to give feedback to somebody, right? Sometimes someone makes a mistake, whether, you have to give feedback to somebody. Hey, I needed, this a different way. We have to give feedback to somebody. Maybe you are a leader and you have to give feedback to a direct report. Maybe you have to give a manager soliciting feedback and you have to give them some feedback that's hard to swallow, maybe hard to swallow, right? So we're going to talk about using Discover before a tough feedback conversation. We're also going to talk about using it before kicking off a new project. Maybe you have some concerns. Maybe you want to make sure everybody's clear about their roles, responsibilities. Maybe you want to be clear. You want to ask questions before that project kicks off. Then we're also going to look at what if there's some team tension or misalignment. And no matter what your role is, maybe you're supporting a team, maybe you're leading a team, maybe you're participating, maybe you're a team member. How do we sort of get ahead of that and maybe mitigate some of what that experience feels like? So we're going to use Discover in that scenario too. Then we're going to reflect on everything that we've talked about. And then I'll give you a little call to action that will be role specific. Okay. And then I will also let you know, we'll get some feedback from you on how this went. And then we'll ask you to give us some suggestions for the next webinar. And then we'll tell you when the next webinar is going to be. Okay, so Jason and I do meet monthly to look at your feedback, and we'll look at some feedback from multiple webinars, and we'll kind of mush it all together, and we will plan our webinar based upon your feedback. So your feedback does matter. So we kind of look at different suggestions and kind of come up with the webinar. Okay, so first things first, we want to know a little bit about you and your role. So in terms of what role best describes you. So if you could launch that first poll, Jason, tell us what role best describes you. Are you a senior C-suite talent leader? Are you a director or manager level talent learning leader? Are you a manager of a team? Are you an individual contributor? Or are you a coach or consultant. So just let us know, of these, what role best describes you. Take a moment, just tap on the choice that best describes you today. More people. All right. I think we have a 88% participation. Oh, 90%. Yes. All right. So you can share the result of that poll. It looks like we have a pretty good mix here. So we have individual contributors leading the way here. And second is those director or manager level talent leaders, and then our managers. Okay, good. Excellent. We have a good group of coaches here and some senior level talent people as well. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. So just wanted to see who's with us today. Okay, so let's set the context. So it is completely natural for there to be miscommunication in the workplace. Misunderstandings happen, especially if you're hybrid or virtual, or even if you are in person. You're not always physically with everybody. People are sometimes communicating via Teams or Slack, email. I just did a communication training with 50 uh, uh, 50 sales team members from all over. They were all over the country, but they were all coming together for a sales team conference. And we had a complete 90-minute training just on the miscommunications that can happen through email and how to choose the right channel and how and when to get off of email, right? When do you pick up the phone, right? When do you have, I shouldn't say pick up the phone. Nobody picks up the phone anymore, right? Like when to schedule a call, right? When to schedule a call, when to have a conversation, when are we overusing email, right? So miscommunication is absolutely, Marielle says she wants a copy of that deck. Marielle, you should contact me offline. I will just pause to give you one of my quotes. This is a quote. I actually said this. I'm going to take credit for it. I said this once live in a training and I just made it up. I did not read it anywhere. Somebody someday will plagiarize me. Email is for notification, not communication. Okay, so email is to notify. After a meeting, here are the notes. Or before a meeting, here's the data. Commune means to come together, right? So we don't use email to project manage, to really, if we really have to communicate something difficult, right? Email is the source of a lot of workplace miscommunication, conflict, because people try to use it for the wrong thing. They use it to avoid conflict. And so really, once you're at the third email and it's like day 3 or day 4, you're at you're on thread number 5 or 6, like just you need a call is necessary, right? So workplace communication gets muddled and it's completely natural, okay? Most people's behavior, surprise, has nothing to do with you. Now, it may feel, and people may be doing things too that feel, or saying things to you that feel pointed, it feels deliberate, but we have to just remember, and for those of us that may have backgrounds in psychology, organizational psychology, many people are reacting to patterns and things that have happened in their life and their own triggers, right? So we feel like it's happening to us, they're doing it to us, it's targeted to us, right? But it usually has nothing to do with this. Okay, that's a whole nother training, whole nother webinar. But however, being prepared, right? You being prepared, right, with certain challenging conversations, certain challenging people, that can actually change the outcome. You being proactive can shift the outcome. Okay. Now, I want you to think of, we're going to flip another poll up here because we're going to work in some of these areas using Discover. Which of these scenarios have you experienced most recently? Okay, so a feedback convo that didn't land. Now, maybe you were the giver of the feedback or the receiver of the feedback. Feeling misunderstood during a project. You're like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. What are the parameters? Avoiding conflict or tension with a teammate, right? So you were just like, maybe someone said something to you and maybe it felt disrespectful, but you didn't want to communicate a boundary. You don't want to say anything. right? So a feedback conversation that didn't land. Amy says all of the above, all of these things, right? Okay, let's get some more participation. A feedback conversation that didn't land. Again, you could have been the giver of the feedback and it just was a bomb, or maybe someone tried to deliver feedback to you, but they were just completely off. They were not getting who you were. Okay, maybe again, you felt misunderstood during a project. You felt like you didn't have enough direction or clear expectations. And avoiding conflict. So I see avoiding conflict is coming up to be pretty big here. Okay. All right, we have 90% participation. So you can share, you can end the poll here. Okay, so I want you to notice where our biggest point of contention is. We have 58% of you avoiding conflict. Okay, so I want you to just know. So I also have my own business. So this is the biggest thing I get asked to do. Difficult conversations and conflict mitigation, conflict management. I use the TKI conflict assessment. You cannot imagine the amount of, I think I've probably done at least a dozen conflict management workshops and training in the past, like maybe 3 or 4 months. And people will ask me, but how? What if you just can't communicate with this person? And I'll be like, here's Cloverleaf, right? So I can't promise you that Cloverleaf is going to resolve every issue for you. But what I can promise you is that it's going to give you a lot more leverage to try to have a more effective conversation. Okay, so we've got conflict coming in at number 1. We have next up, we've got feeling misunderstood at a project at 23%, and then 20% a feedback conversation that didn't land. Okay, good news is we're going to work on all of these things, and we're going to use Discover for all of them. And, you know, the other 2 areas, like feedback that didn't land or feeling misunderstood during a project, could also lead to the conflict. So it's all kind of connected. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we have those results. Okay, alrighty. Okay. Okay. So when we don't understand how other people work, what happens is we avoid the conversation, right? We're like, oh, you know, they're not going to get me. I'm not going to get them. I'm just not going to have the conversation, right? And all that is like planting a little like bomb, right? That's eventually going to explode. Okay. Then we kind of will misread tone. This also happens in email. People will send an email and we will add our tone to the email, our implied tone, what we think the tone is. We will add intent sometimes too. We misread the feedback. We misread it as criticism. People often sometimes they don't know how to deliver feedback. They don't have the feedback training. I do a lot of delivering feedback training also. I use a lot of the approach of radical candor. If you've read that book, I strongly recommend Radical Candor if you haven't read it. And also, we try to influence other people in the way we would like to be addressed. And so that's one of the other big problems. So one time I was working at a company that was marketing to a certain segment, and we were around a table and they were talking and they said, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, we're not the segment. Like, we have to, when you market, you have to talk about what the segment wants. It doesn't really matter what we think, right? It's what the other person thinks, right? So we have to, when we're communicating with people, it's about what the audience, the other person thinks, right? Not how we would want to receive the information. So you have to think about your audience, not you, when you're delivering difficult feedback. Okay. These aren't people problems, they're pattern problems, right? So they're patterns that happen throughout our workday, right? And Discover doesn't just explain like, oh, what you should do, or here's what you should know about this person. It actually does help you in the moment adapt a different style. It helps you prepare, and it will help you shift how the conversation could go. It could actually shift the outcome, but you've got to actually use it. And you don't have to invest a lot of time. Okay. So, oh, I think I skipped a slide. Okay, hold on one second. Hold on, I just have a slide out of order. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 minute. I just have one slide out of order and I'm just going to move it. Okay. Yes, so I just have a slide out of order. Here we go. I'm just going to move it and there we go. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to share again. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. And by the way, if you don't have the resource up here, this is the resource that we're in right now. If you want to just pop that in the chat again, Jason, we're in this right now. Okay. So I'm going to go log into Cloverleaf right here. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to use Discover at the key moments that I just mentioned in my poll, and we're going to do it together. And we're going to, so if you're not logged into Cloverleaf, I would log into Cloverleaf because you're going to use it with actual people. And it's going to make much more of a difference for you than for me to just demonstrate it with fake people. So it's really important that you log in. So log into your Cloverleaf account and you're going to find Discover. Okay, so this is where you want to be right now. Right, this is where key place of where you want to be. Okay, now you can also have this up because you might want to copy one of the prompts that I'm giving you, or if you want to make your own prompt, you absolutely can. I'm giving you a sample prompt for all of these situations that you can use. So yes, it's the home page of your account. So you should log in. And when you log in, this is what you will see. Okay. Provided that you're logged in. You have to log into Cloverleaf, right? So this is the other thing. We get a little attached to the emails and we just use the emails. And the emails are awesome. And I know you're like, oh, I have to log in. Yeah, well, you log into your email and you log into Amazon and you log into all these things. If you just make it a habit to log in to Cloverleaf in the morning and you just have it up, just have it up. Okay. So it's all good. If you just got to make it a habit. Okay. All right. So this is when you log in, this is what you will see. Okay. So we're going to talk about, so I want you to think about a person on your team. And because privacy settings affect this, use someone on your team. You can try to search someone not on your team, but depending on certain privacy settings or visibility settings, you may not be able to search information about your team. Okay. Ooh, Lauren is already sharing love with us. She said, we use this in our morning huddle. I can now read all these amazing facts, how my coworkers and I can use our strengths and push through our differences. I'm just a new employee to a very tight-knit team environment. This application and tool is invaluable. Awesome. So great. All right, so here we go. So think about somebody right now, right, that maybe you've had to give this person tough feedback. Maybe you could imagine that if you had to give them feedback, it would be difficult, right? So think about someone on your team. Now, if you know that you can search other people not on your team, that's fine. You can use that, okay? Consider these prompts, right? And again, you could even think about the person that you most have a personality clash with, the person most different from you. Maybe you don't have any feedback to give them right now, but you know that you can, if you had to give them feedback, the thought of that you giving them feedback, you're like, oh, I want to crawl under a table. If I had to give that person tough feedback, I would want to run far away. That's the person you want to search right now. Don't worry, your searches are private. Nobody will know. They're never going to know. Okay. No one's going to know. Okay. So some of these you'll notice are questions and some of them are statements. So I want to make it clear. You don't have to ask a question. You can make a statement. So I'm going to copy this. So you can actually highlight this. You can copy it and you can just remove the name piece and then put the person's name. So I'm going to copy and paste this. So I'm going to say, I get the sense that Noor shuts down when a conversation feels too direct. Now, why I'm putting a statement in here is I'm going to show you the dive deeper functionality in Discover. Sometimes you say a statement and Cloverleaf will dive deeper, will give you a question that helps you pinpoint what you're really trying to get at. So I'm going to put that into Discover. I get the sense that Noor shuts down when a conversation feels too direct. So again, think of a person on your team that if you had to give them tough feedback, you just absolutely might possibly have a stomach ache. That's what you want. You can pick any one of these prompts Or if you want to create a new prompt, you can, and you can share it with us. You don't have to share the person's name, but you can share the prompt. There's 5 prompts that I made for you here. Okay. Okay, now I want you to notice the dive deeper. How can I tell when Nora starts feeling tense? What are signs Nora welcomes direct feedback from me? Ooh, that's an interesting question. How can we spot when facts become personal in a discussion? Well, that's not specific to Nora, so I'm not going to ask that one. Let's see what it says here. It says both you and Nora tend to favor direct, clear communication. You often give feedback in real time. You use plain language to keep things moving. Nora, on the other hand, she values straightforward, no fluff communication, especially in situations where facts or decisions are needed. But Nora tends to withdraw, not from directness itself, but so maybe I misread something. She's not withdrawing from directness. Nora is withdrawing when it gets emotionally charged, tense, or if it tends to feel personally critical. So if discussions shift back to facts from perceived criticism as high emotion, Nora is likely to pull back, to go quiet, which can make it seem like directness is the trigger, even though it's about emotional tone and felt safety. So I just learned something. Nora actually is okay with things being direct, but it's the tone and the charge that makes her want to withdraw. Okay, so I've actually learned something. I didn't need to dive deeper here. I'm now clear. There's a distinction here. It's very subtle. Nora's okay with direct feedback, but if I keep it factual and I keep my tone clear and I don't get charged, she'll be okay. She'll stick in the conversation. Well, okay, well, how can I apply this? So I want you to do this as well. Okay, you could pick a dive deeper question if you want. If you like to dive deep, but dive deeper question got more specific for you, that's fine. So it's telling me, so let's say I'm in my conversation to acknowledge Nora's preferences for clear and logical discussions and try to keep feedback focused on facts and solutions. So I could say something like, Nora, I want to just make sure that we just get super clear about this specific feedback about, the project, or this specific information about the project. And it also is telling me when addressing tough topics, monitor the temperature. So it's telling me to be aware, pause or reframe the conversation, right? So let's say Nora gives me a response. Okay, so Nora, I can see that you feel a little frustrated. I just want to let you know my intention is not to frustrate you. I'm so sorry if that, I can see that that you might feel a little upset with what I'm saying. I'm so sorry. That's not what I'm intending to do. How can I support you in making sure we understand what the next steps are, right? So I might want to just acknowledge, reflect back, invite Nora to share the type of feedback and tone that helps them stay engaged and comfortable during important discussions. So let's say it was getting derailed. I could say, Nora, I want to make sure in the future that if I do have to deliver feedback to you, that we can have a productive discussion. Can you share with me what works best from you from your perspective, right? Because we're not saying that Cloverleaf is the be all end all. Cloverleaf is giving you a guide. And in Nora's words are going to help me to truly understand. Nora is the expert on Nora, right? Cloverleaf is giving suggestions about Nora. Cloverleaf is not claiming to be the expert on Nora. It is claiming to be a guide, to give a suggestion on Nora, okay? So I'm hoping that some of you are playing along. I want to note from a few of you that may have done this, have taken a prompt. I just sort of debriefed what I put in here. From some of you have done this. Share in the chat, what did you learn from plugging in your prompt? You can answer that. Or if you made your own prompt, you can share your own prompt in the chat. If you want, you could just remove the person's name, of course. But what insight did you get from this specific prompt around giving feedback? My reaction from doing this, oh my God. Marielle is very animated. Awesome. Share concrete examples, but check in on how X is feeling as you talk so you can adjust your tone. Also, if it's suggested to ask when they prefer to receive feedback. Yeah, so, hey, I might perceive to receive feedback sooner, or after something has occurred and I have a moment to digest. Good. Anyone else? What is your insight? You don't have to tell me like exactly what it said. What is your takeaway just from doing it? What do you see? What are you learning? Okay, so if you don't want to do the thing that Cloverleaf suggests, that's okay. You can ask another question. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you can ask another question. Um, yes, if you don't have your team on Cloverleaf, you can ask a question about yourself and your own style. Okay, good. So the teammate I selected hasn't utilized it. However, you asked, good, you're being creative. You can absolutely flip the script here. I received information on how I might react when a conversation feels too direct. Excellent. Trista shared, I learned my teammate responds well to feedback tied to examples, and preparing feedback with clear facts and examples will help our conversation and avoid defensiveness. Such good advice. Excellent. Yeah, so if you don't have a teammate on here, you could just literally say, what do I do if I'm giving feedback to someone who's defensive? It's going to give you information based on your own personality, right? Heather said, I learned someone I work with might see feedback as a risk to belonging, which is very eye-opening for me. Yes. So, okay, Heather, I'm going to share something. That person might be a Enneagram 6. So an Enneagram 6, their biggest fear is like not belonging, right, to a group, right? And so sometimes if they get critical feedback, it might feel like that there is a break in belonging, right? And so if I've done something wrong, it could risk my belonging in the group. Okay. Okay, good. Yes. So yeah, I think part of getting buy-in for your team is to demonstrate it and demonstrate the tool and help them see some of the value of getting the answers. Lori shared, I made my own prompt, learning that my boss likes direct communication with supporting examples and likes to stick to timelines and likes agendas. Yes. I know the person I asked about very well, and the Cloverleaf advice is spot on. So yes, you can spot check. If you want to pick someone that you really know well to see, hey, does Cloverleaf know them as well as I do? You can do that. Awesome. Yes. So Jason actually just shared in the chat that we did do a webinar about getting team buy-in a few months ago. We did do that. So sometimes it's just about speaking about it, showing how it works, showing the scenarios that it can work in, demonstrating it like we just did here. You've just got to show them how to use it, right? So people don't know what they don't know. You have to show them, here are the scenarios that we could use it in. I'm doing what I'm doing right now. We're gonna do 3 scenarios. So it's kind of doing what I'm doing now. Yes. Javier, should I learn we both want the same outcomes, however, our approaches are different. I'm more here as a problem. Here's the solution. He wants a softer approach, right? So Javier might be more strategic. And it sounds like Javier, the person that you were searching, might want to focus more on the relationship connection first, and you want to focus more on the strategy first, right? It's, again, 2 valid approaches, right? It's just that's what causes the clash sometimes, okay? And Natasha, the opposite. I learned that one of my coworkers is much more similar to me in they want to receive feedback than I realized. Great to know. Excellent. Miss Chances to connect with my boss. I'm playful and I have quick energy in meetings. He prefers slow, one-on-one, informal style of communication. Again, different work styles. We may not relate to it, right? Like I can't relate to people who just ignore deadlines, who just don't do what they say they're going to do, because I'm a psycho with my calendar. Like if I miss something, it's because it wasn't on my calendar. Like everything's on my calendar, right? Okay, great. Awesome. All right. All right, we're going to go to scenario 2, and then I want to make sure we go to scenario 3 since most people have the avoiding conflict issue. All right. And again, if you don't have a direct report to search, I will modify this so you can search about yourself in the next one, okay? All right, so let's go to before kicking off the new project. So instead of saying searching for your team, I'll modify the prompt. Instead of saying, how can I make sure a certain team feels heard before assigning roles, I'll modify this in a moment. So this is, let's say you have a new project. If you have your team in Cloverleaf, let's say you're leading the project, right? And you can say, okay, so I'm going to take this prompt. Okay, we're going to say, let's say here, I'm going to go back into Discover, and I'm going to say new coaching question. So instead of saying what will help Noor feel ownership from day one, you can say this. So I'm going to do this, but I'm going to rework the prompt in the chat for people who don't have team members, right? I don't know why that's not working. Why is that not working? Okay, so I'll rework this in the chat for people that don't have team members right now. Just got to bring up the chat. I am leading a new project. What will help others feel ownership from day one? Okay, so I just put this in the chat. If you don't have direct reports, you can use, hold on, let me just edit that. I made it too complicated. Hold on, I just put too many words. New project will help others feel ownership. Okay, there you go. If you see my most recent chat, it says, I'm leading a new project. What will help others feel ownership from day one? So if you don't have your team in Cloverleaf, you can ask that question, okay? Into Discover. And that will just talk about your leadership style and what you can do and your own personality, okay? All right, so now I'm asking the question. So I want to make sure that Noor doesn't feel misunderstood on the project. So same thing, imagine you're leading a project or you're involved in a project. You can also use the name of the team if you want to talk about the entire team. So you'll notice it says, how can I make sure like marketing team feels heard before assigning roles? So if you want to ask a question about the entire team, you can say the name of the whole team. I just stuck with a person, but it's up to you. You can use any of these prompts, okay? So type in that prompt, sorry. Okay, so this says ownership grows when Noor shapes strategy early. Now I'm gonna look at these dive deeper questions. Oh, this says, how can I check if Noor wants more ownership? I might wanna do that. How can Noor's planning style boost our team's project kickoff? Oh, I might wanna know more about that too. What signals help Noor feel trusted to lead early? I might need Noor's help leading this project. Okay. This is telling me Noor is likely to feel ownership when she's trusted to set plans and lead projects from the start. Motivation grows when given control over big initiatives that are tied to team or company strategy. Early on, Noor tends to engage more and shows confidence when tasks feel meaningful and Noor can shape the approach. You can often help Noor feel accountable and energized by making sure they are part of the plan and have space to show planning and follow through. So this is kind of telling me, wow, if I make Noor more part of the beginning of the project kickoff, I might get more engagement from Noor. So, but I want to see, but I'm not sure like what's on her plate. Like, what if I'm not sure if she wants the ownership? So how can I check? I want to use this dive deeper. How can I check if Noor wants more ownership? So if you see a question and dive deeper that is going to actually help you get to a better answer. So it's telling me that Noor will signal a desire for more responsibility in subtle ways. So it's telling me that Noor is not going to ask more directly, that is likely to show more engagement, offer extra support. So this means maybe if I see Noor speaking up as we're doing project planning, they may look for gradual increases in responsibility. I may see Noor stepping up or saying, oh, I'll help with that. So it tells me Noor is not going to be overtly grabbing onto things. And that I need to be aware of those unspoken needs. Okay, so how can I apply this? Bring up upcoming projects and ask Noor which parts feel most energizing or meaningful. So I can ask sort of an indirect question. Hey, Noor, we just were talking about this project in the last team meeting. What about that project feels meaningful to you, or what energizes you about that? So this to me is bringing up an action item. So this is what I like to do. I might say here in my one-on-one on Wednesday with, and I'm going to hashtag this, Noor, I'm going to bring up upcoming projects and ask Noor which part bring up I'm going to bring up project X and ask which part feels most energizing or meaningful. This is invite Noor to share project input on project priorities. I'm going to invite Noor to share input on project X priorities and listen for signals of interest. So I might do that as well. I like that idea. And so before I even get to this part, I'm not going to overload myself. I'm just going to do those two things and I'm going to save that. Okay, so that automatically is going to save. And guess what? That's going to be in my notes. And when I click Noor, that's going to be right there. So when I have my one-on-one Wednesday with Noor, I am going to sort of just subtly bring up the project and see what I get from Noor. I'm not going to I don't want to pressure her. It's telling me Noor is going to express it more subtly. So I'm going to try it out, see what happens. If it leads to a more direct conversation, we'll see. Okay. I want to hear from some of you. Share with me, maybe you made your own prompt. Maybe you adjusted the prompt because you don't have team members. Share with me what you learned or took away from doing that exercise. Okay, Svetlana said, I got this feedback for the new team project, shared ownership, early input, clear roles, visible momentum. Okay, so it's being super clear, right? Natalie said, I learned my teammate wants clear, defined goals and expectations. Excellent. Kathy is sharing, I invite quieter teammates to share their perspectives directly, especially during early decisions. Okay, good. So I want to hear also from some of you, what are you taking away from this? Like, what's your insight from it, right? Like, what's your personal thoughts about, like Natalie saying, I learned my teammates want this clear instruction, this clear goals. What are you learning something new, or are you being reminded, hey, I kind of forgot my team kind of needs a little bit more of this and a little bit less of that, right? What are you learning from kind of, yes, it helps me see my blind spots. Excellent, Svetlana, awesome. Blind spots are that way for a reason. We can't always see them. We're going about life and we're doing our things and we're managing our tasks. Leslie said, these tools will be wonderful once I get my team engaged. Yes, so here's the thing. You're sitting on a 1-hour webinar with me right now. What we're asking people to do, to try, is to use this for 6 minutes in a day and maybe for 2 minutes here and 2 minutes there, just to help have better communication. Imagine just using this before I go into a project kickoff meeting and tweaking a couple of things I say. It's not a big deal. We're not telling people you have to go to a 7-day certification and let your email pile up. We're not telling people you have to do that. Hey, just take 6 minutes and use this to have better conversations. Lori said, I don't have team members. I learned that I need to step back and let others take ownership in projects. Yeah, sometimes it's just shared leadership. Javier says, great feedback. It says, I value control and clear roles, which often keeps works efficient, but it might make it harder for others to feel true ownership, right? To bring in the team early. Leslie, yes, people respond so differently in tough conversations. It does help with crucial conversations, absolutely. Trista said, I learned my direct approach helps speed up alignment with my team, but they will contribute more when they are connected to goals and they see concrete people outcomes. Yes, sometimes we get people really excited, but then they're like, wait a minute, what are we doing? We need to be part of this, right? Lauren shared, individuals and teams will always be successful when they're self-aware. Every progressive company needs to be more towards utilizing AI for good. Yes, Lauren. Because look at how amazing this is going to be at bringing people together. So I don't know if anybody in our field has been seeing this, but I think it's like DevLearn has been putting out this ad. It's really been bothering me. It's been saying, are you anxious about AI? It's been all over my feed. It's like, are you anxious about AI? And I was like, please stop posting this headline. We are learning professionals and we are not supposed to be invoking fear about AI. We're supposed to be educating people about AI. Please stop posting this clickbait. Are you anxious about AI? No, I'm not anxious about AI. I'm interested about learning about AI. And you should be interested as educators, as learners, as development people. You should not be posting this headline to capitalize on people's anxiety about AI. So thank you, Lauren, for saying that, because yes, every tool, everything in the world that's ever been created, rock and roll, MTV, the internet, television. Remember, everyone used to say MTV was going to make us all bad people. I'm a Gen X person. Okay, every tool can be used for good and every tool can be used for evil. It's about the humanity that's behind the tool. Okay. So we are here, Cloverleaf, and we are here using AI for good just to help people talk nicer to each other at work. We just want people to just, collaborate better at work. We're not trying to create world domination. We just want people to have better feedback conversations. So that's what we're up to. And we hope that you'll jump along with us. So that's what we're doing. So it's all about the use of the tool, not the nature of the tool. So Marielle says, I don't get that in my feet. I don't know. I've been tortured by this. Is AI giving you anxiety? Is AI making you nervous? I'm like, no, it's making you nervous. All right. So here we go. Anybody else want to share their insights from, we're going to go on to the last topic, which I know everybody wants to do, which is the conflict topic. Jason, can you just help out Natasha? Because it's a technical question. I want to make sure she gets what she needs. All right, we're going to go on to the last topic prompt. So this is during team tension or misalignment, right? This is like, oh gosh, there's conflict on the team. I want to crawl under a table and I don't want to have the conversation. Now, there are team prompts here and there are individual prompts here. I am going to give this prompt to you if you don't have people on your team right now. I'm going to put this in the chat if you don't have your team right now. I'm going to say I am working with people who seem divided right now. Divided between. Okay, so if you don't have people on your team in Cloverleaf right now, I'm putting a prompt for you now in the chat. It says, I'm working with people who seem divided between moving fast and getting it right. Okay, so that's just a prompt you can use. Okay, all right, now I'm going to say, how can I help team get aligned without making anyone feel blamed? Okay, oh no, I'm going to actually use this one. It feels like the team is divided between moving fast and getting it right, right? So let's say there's conflict on this team and we are avoiding it because there's like camps, there's factions, there's conflict, right? We're all avoiding team conflict. We know that. We said that. 58% of you said you are. It feels like the product team, because this person's on the product team, the product team is divided between moving fast and getting it right. I'm going to say, and it's causing conflict. I'm going to say, and we are avoiding the conflict. I'm going to say, and we are avoiding the conflict. Okay. It feels like the product team is divided between moving fast and getting it right, and we're avoiding the conflict. As we said, we're avoiding the conflict in the piece there. So again, pick one of these during team tension or misalignment. I like this. I'm worried the team is avoiding the real issue to keep things polite. If you feel like you're on a team that just keeps things polite, use that one. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. Quality versus speed fuels avoidance and team friction. Your team tends to split on whether to push for rapid delivery or slow down for quality. So we're going based on speed, like let's get this out, or should we do this better? Several teammates, including Riley and Emily, so it's gonna talk to you about your teammates here, often lean towards speed and quick compromises, even if some details are missed. Others, like you and Tariq, we prefer thorough solutions, setting high standards, and we want to avoid mistakes, even if it takes more time. Because some on the team avoid open debate. Now remember, the highest performing teams allow themselves to engage in healthy task conflict. Important trade-offs can get buried. This pattern means tensions linger and no one feels fully heard or confident in the path forward. So what does that mean? No one kind of knows what should we be doing. We kind of sense that these people want to do the X, these people want to do Y. We're kind of staying silent in team meetings. So what do we do here? Start a brief structured discussion. Invite each person to share what matters most to them on a current decision, speed, quality, or something else. So when you do open team meetings and you say you just open the floor, what's going to happen is the loudest voices often win. If you're leading a conversation, sometimes what I like to do is we're going to go around and I'm going to call people, and you go around in a circle and you call people as you see them on the screen and let everybody speak in turn. Don't let the loudest voices dominate. Say, I'm going to call people. We're going to go around. Okay. And after hearing all views, ask the group to agree on one must-have, like error-free work or a tight deadline. So here, what this is guiding you is having a team norms conversation, okay? For the project most at risk of friction, schedule a short follow-up to check if the team feels more clear and supported in balancing speed and quality. So basically, what this suggested action is like opening up the conversation a little bit. Like, we kind of need to surface the fact that we're not all on the same page. What can we all agree to? Okay. What can we all agree to? And that's basically what's coming out of this prompt. Okay. And so I might, if I say, I want something different, okay, I might say, where has our avoidance led to surprise step? I might want to choose a different prompt, but this feels good to me. I can start here. Let's start by talking about this in our next team meeting. I might do that as well. Okay. So I want to hear from a few of you about the prompt. You don't have to tell me what it said. You don't have to just copy and paste, but tell me what you took away from searching your conflict prompt, right? Your team tension or misalignment. What's your takeaway? I'm concerned X has stopped contributing because she felt judged by Y. Wow, Cloverleaf nailed what's taking place so accurately. Also, the apply this tip is super useful. Encourage Y to give feedback, focus on growth instead of right and wrong. Yes. Kathy shared, this is so me. I tend to jump right in without always thinking how I come across. This is what was said. When you spot an error, ask thoughtful questions instead of jumping straight to correction. So Kathy, I think I said this once in a webinar, get curious, not furious, right? So get curious first, like lead with curiosity, right? So sometimes, even though correction isn't furious, right? It sometimes feels that way to people, right? So get curious first, right? Tell me, hey, help me understand your thinking on that. That's always a good follow-up question. Help me understand your thinking on that. Help me understand how you arrived there. Sometimes people are mistrained. Sometimes somebody else in the company gives them wrong information. We don't know. Sometimes people have bad advice from somebody else, right? So, hey, help me understand just where your head was, like when you were making that decision. I just really want to get sort of in your head about that. Okay. Awesome. Someone else, share your insight from taking that piece. Any insight from the team misalignment there? All right, I'm going to move on to this question. Did anything surprise you, or is there an action that you could actually take from what you searched today? Is there something you could actually do from what you searched today? Anything surprise you, or is there something you could actually do? Pop it in the chat. Is anything surprise you, or is there an action you could actually take? Remember, those actions are all saved in your coaching history. Remember, so you can go to your coaching history and you could see all the prompts that you searched, right? Okay, going to send screenshots to my client. Excellent. Great. Awesome. Take a pause, keep quiet for a moment. Okay, good. Okay. So, a couple of quick calls to action. If you're an individual contributor, don't wait. Good, Heather, I need to be more clear and direct around specific actions to take in my feedback, be less vague, right? Don't wait for someone else to fix your team dynamic. If you're an individual contributor, leadership is not about a role. It's about behavior. You can be a leader in your organization if you don't have a direct report, right? So use Discover to learn how somebody on your team thinks before another meeting, before a feedback conversation, or before maybe your team has to make a decision. If you're a manager, Introduce, demonstrate, Discover in your next team meeting. Okay. If you're an HR talent leader and you want to activate Discover and more in your organization, again, demonstrate it in an all hands meeting. Go visit a bunch of team meetings and say, hey, I want to pop in for 5 minutes and share how this works and how you can have better collaboration conversations. Go be an ambassador in your organization. If you're a coach or a partner, demonstrate this in your sessions and trainings for similar moments that matter for your clients.